Everybody should know self-defense. But what exactly is self-defense, right? When you think about it, what is self-defense?
It defending yourself against harm or potential harm. It's being able to stand on your own 2 feet.
Well, one of the moms in our community, she's very involved in the IT world, and we had a great conversation about technology. And I know a lot of times when we think about self-defense, we're thinking, oh, someone may get me in the parking lot, which is, I mean, a valid concern, yeah. But there are new things on the horizon, such as deep fake and all these impersonations. I tell people, man, we all better have one hell of an alibi in the next couple of years, because with the technology and the way things are going right now, it's scary but intriguing at the same time. You guys feel that way?
Yes, most
And
definitely.
Yes.
because I'm intrigued to know, like, why, aside from committing a criminal act, who would really want like my look, my image, like why would you want to use me to create some artificial persona? You know,
But
and
why not?
I don't know. That's why I say it's intriguing all at the same
But that's
time.
and that's the thing, when it comes to self-defense, I think you're 100% right. It's not just, defending yourself as in your physical self when you're in
Right.
a parking lot, but self-defense now is to cybersecurity, self-defense of having your identity stolen, of having your likeness used, of all these different things come into play.
Hmm.
And we don't want to live in fear because fear is the epitome of failure.
Hmm.
However, in order to not live in fear, we have to know how to defend ourselves so that we can be confident and keep moving forward and upward. And that's in all aspects.
Right. I agree. And also, when we think about defending our personal identity, we have to factor in our business identity, because the trend is now, even for small to mid-sized business, I mean, unless you're cutting hair or doing nails, you do have some digital footprint online.
But
What are we
even
doing?
cutting hair and doing nails, you still might have a digital footprint. Like this is for
True,
every
but we gotta put the
single
security in all aspects, like you said. I agree. But for the bulk of where I was going with that was most of the businesses, right? Because for example, like if I was a hairstylist and someone took over my website on my social media feed, it's a pretty personal service. So my clients, I mean, with my experience, I still to this day can't find those hairdressers that I had was going to them every other week, right? It's usually a pretty traumatic experience for me to try someone new. So if they didn't answer their phone and I knew where they live, I would, yeah, I was just in the area. You didn't answer your phone. I was just wondering if you moved. I'm serious. Sorry. I mean, my hair is a little crazy now, you guys know what I'm but I mean, when it comes to our personal services, man, we really bond to those persons, and they can't hide from us. So, but when we have the digital component, like unfortunately, I'm more of a grassroots marketer, right? I like the personal one-on-one. I think all of us, most of the women here in this community, I would say, we do like the personal touch connection. We want to meet and see each other in person. Um, and even the ones that have the larger digital business, because it's interesting that a lot of women on our platform, Mompreneurs platform, they are more, I would say, more of the medium to larger businesses. I was thinking this would attract more smaller business moms, but we're doing good. We're doing something right, right? Um, But again, if that digital aspect of our business disappeared or got um, hacked or something, I think is important that we have things in place. And the first thing we can do to protect that is to use like authentication apps, because what's happening now, there's something called a SIM swap. You guys heard of that?
No.
So any pretty much phone number you get that you think you could do the two-factor authentication, okay? I'm obviously aware of this stuff because in the marketing, I manage several accounts, and sometimes I can't even get into my own account because I'm managing all these accounts and changing passwords. You have the 20 something plus long passwords. And I always tell people check with your IT person too, whoever's managing your accounts, because with the SIM swap now, they can just take your phone number, right, and authenticate your account and get access to it, right? And they could do it across several platforms. So if we are using our phones to do the two-factor authentication, just be mindful. It's better to use the like the Google. I know there's one through Microsoft. These authentication apps, where and again, these are all just different layers of protection, because there's also something called oh, what is it? It sound like we just need to have a whole conversation on cybersecurity, because, in the marketing world, for me, as I wasn't big on social media, especially like after I had the kids, right? But as I get back more and more involved from a personal standpoint, it's outside of managing other accounts, it's it's interesting that there's so many profiles and so many, like when your friends share all these different pieces of information with you, and it's not really something that that person for. Like if they never shared political stuff or some religion or just some weird post, you'd be like, oh, is this really you? And some of them I would stop and call them. I'm like, man, you sent me, I'll screenshot it and I'll say, you sent me this. Is this really what you meant to send me? And they'll be like, oh yeah, Glo, I sent it like 3 years ago. I was like, my bad. Right? Hey, times change, people change. It's okay. But even that can be another layer of protection you offer friends. As a community, we could start to look out for each other. And oh my goodness, the phishing on the emails. Um, someone, I guess I was being targeted, because they almost got me. But because I study up on this stuff, let me tell you, they sent me a text, they sent me an email, and if you click on these links, oh my goodness, even from reputable companies, because most people, I would say most, I myself included, we don't read thoroughly before we click. So if you see something that says Google or um, Amazon, blah, 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 and you don't read all of that link, every hyperlink you see, you should read all of what the link is. And if they send you something, say, click here, you can take your mouse and just hover over it, and it will expose the entire link, right? Guys, I'm telling you right now, we're getting ready for the storm, and it's going to take community to really help us brace for the impact of what we're about to witness here. It's going to be a pretty interesting times, because when they start to target you, they do it until you're tired, right? You're going to see different links, and if somehow they get your information and you get caught up on the dark web, like I have an identity monitoring system that I subscribe through. If anyone inbox me, I'll be happy to share it with you, the one that I use. But if you somehow end up in their pool of contacts that they're trying to get, let me tell you, they will try every single trick. I mean, send you things and it's like, click here, oh, your package have arrived. Or I mean, I probably should share screenshots of these. We need to have a separate one on cybersecurity, but
Serious?
it's yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And look, one thing I just wanted to add to all of that is that it's not just cybersecurity. The bigger business you have, the more places you can have privacy breaches and data breaches. And it's not all just through cyber or through hackers and scammers and phishing, right? There are so many other things. You need to have policies and procedures and different ways of protecting your data internally as well,
Hmm.
and how people use that data and use their computers and where they go. And, there are so many different things. And it's funny that you're talking about this today because I have a program I'm going to be implementing coming soon that's going to be able, especially for mid to larger size corporations, it's going to be
Hmm.
cost prohibitive for smaller ones, but it goes through all of the data risk points in a company and shows where they stand and what needs to be corrected so that they can definitely get their data secure. And again, it's not just cybersecurity, right? And it also will lower your insurance costs when you know you're compliant and you have all these things. But
Yeah.
it is something that we all have to be very mindful of because most small companies, just like you had said earlier today, who would want to use my likeness? Like, why? Right. But that's where the most vulnerable people are. You hear about these old people living on Social Security getting scammed and sending their money to these people that are just scammers.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're vulnerable, because they think, why me? Who am I? Nobody's going to come target me. I don't have anything. But those are the people that are most vulnerable, because of that. So don't ever think you're too small, you don't have enough, you're not known. None of that matters. And all of that makes you more of a target. I don't want to put fear into people. I just want to put awareness. You still have to live your life. You still have to do the things you do. Just
Mhm.
be aware so that you can protect yourself.
Well, I would say too, because these conversations are geared more towards moms from a personal security standpoint and being in business, I would say sometimes just being tired, right? Too
Yeah.
tired to follow protocol. And if I would tell every mom that's listening, if you have a business, please develop some sort of a system that you can do it over and over and over again, and don't break your own protocol. Even when it comes to your kids, include your kids into that protocol. Like I have my little protocol that I follow. Since they're going to wake me up at night, I do some work at night. Then I have that break in the morning. I dedicate and isolate that time for them in the morning. Then they go to school, if they go to school. If nobody I even have a backup protocol. It's like if sick, do this. And me and my husband have that. Uh, I would say we pretty much have that part down pack. But it's developing that system and that protocol, because sometimes we get tired and we say, you know what, I won't I won't do this part today. Or and it's when talk about, because we're talking about security here, right? When
Yes.
you let or open up a little window of opportunity nowadays in your business and your personal life, something gets in. It's not like it may get in. Something gets in. If your protocol is checking emails at a certain time, and I realize like multitasking is great. I think moms do it better than anyone else on the planet. However, if you must nurse your baby and do something, just try to stay more aware of what's happening around you, right? Because I've done it before. I got that call from a client and I'm trying to nurse my baby and I'm trying to juggle all these things. But really how much of our attention can we have all over the place? And it's where these little breaches of, sorry, these little windows of opportunities come when we can let our guard down. And I'm using a very general example here, but it can apply to anything, right? I give you an example. Grocery shopping. You wouldn't think it's that complicated, right? I mean, grocery shop is not hard, but I was grocery shopping and I had my toddler in the shopping cart with the groceries, right? And I'm coming out to my car. Now, do I put the kid in the car first, or do I put the groceries in first? And then do I take the cart back to where you park the shopping cart? What do you do in that scenario? Now, is that a point of weakness necessarily? And oh, and by the way, I'm getting that call from this client I've been waiting for because, right, I'm self-employed, right? So that call, like, do I put the kid on the side of the car and take that call? Come on, like, think about it. This is a breach in security, and criminals, guess who they look for? People who are not paying attention. Awareness is the number one self-defense you can have, whether you have a weapon or not. Even looking aware, holding like your posture up, just being looking alert, like you're paying attention, right? So back to this scenario with me taking my son out to the car. I mean, the obvious answer is don't take the call at that time, right? Of course not. I never do something like that. But let me tell you what actually happened, right? So I kept my kid with me and I was putting all the groceries in the car because I wanted to keep the kid with me, and I put the kid in the car. I closed all the doors, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave the kid because the where you park the groceries, sorry, the shopping cart was too far off away from the car. So I was like, I'm not gonna make it there. So I put it in between the two cars. There's two bar, like the two little, I don't know what you call them, parking stoppers or whatever. So I put it in between there. And the car directly in front of me, the guy starts yelling profanity. Like I won't, but and I look around, I'm like, okay, is he talking to me? So obviously for the whole time he was watching me, right? And apparently he had a problem because I did not return the shopping cart to the appropriate place where it's supposed to be parked. And he was like, you effing, you piece of like, I mean, leaning in. And a part of me was like, oh my gosh, did he not like, dude, I'm not gonna leave my kid and everything in my car to walk that far away. I'm sorry. And it was almost like he wanted to get out of his vehicle and pursue me because I parked the shopping cart in between, and it was a pretty large gap in between both sides, but he just had a problem because I parked my shopping cart in between this spot. And I was like, holy cow. Now, again, I live in Florida, and if some big girly guy that starts to
Wait. That's his problem, right? There
I
are people who
understand.
get paid. You are employing someone to go through the parking lot to find the carts and take them back.
I
First,
understand. But again, situational awareness, right? But I didn't even notice that he was watching me the whole time. But what I was thinking was, number one, I'm not going to put my baby in the car, and because to me, I think I've seen people drive off with cars, and I got the door open, and my car opens weird. Again, hey, turning mom without being prepared. Surprise motherhood for the ladies who listening that had that surprise where you didn't have the time to prepare. It was just like, hey, I'm pregnant. Oh, here's the baby, right? I had one of those blessed pregnancies where I basically had no clue. I felt great. I looked like I wasn't pregnant for the most part. But back to this situation, right? I'm always paranoid about putting my kid somewhere apart from me, right? So I put the groceries in, and I try to keep the kids with me, and then I load everybody in, and we all get in, and then I'm ready to drive off. But situational awareness, like this person was watching me, right? And I didn't even notice, even though they were parked right in front of me. Well, he was waiting for someone else to come out of the grocery store, right? So we could think of several different scenarios that can come out of that. And I had another incident at the grocery store, right? And we always have our phones on us. And I'm saying this just to give the like moms ideas, because we feel that stress, especially like when you're self-employed and you're always having to hunt for clients, not necessarily hunt for them, but you value your clients when you're trying to build your business to cater to your family, right? Especially if they're good clients, you probably go to extra mile, right? We do these things, but just situational awareness wise, this the timing is just not always the best timing. And I share these stories to give other moms ideas that being aware of the situations you're in, especially when you have your kids, right? Just think of the client can wait, the phone can wait. Be present when you're with your babies. Because another incident I had at the grocery store, again, phone is ringing, right? And I had my kid in the car, and I moved to the back of the car to get something. And there was a guy approaching me. I guess he was asking me a question. And I noticed he was coming to me pretty quickly. And I had already put my kid in the car. And I don't know, like something came over me, and I just yelled at him. I was like, back up, like back up. See, again, you being aware of your situation and also carrying that confident, upright, no matter how small you are, because I'm not a huge person, right? And by me projecting my voice and yelling at him, like he stopped, like dead in his track. Now, had he not stopped, again, we'll have another video for what to do when people don't stop, right? And that's where you have to be able to think on your feet. And I would say, if you remember the times when you were afraid or something happened that was beyond your control, right? Get familiar with how you react to those fears and stressors. Because some of us, we freeze, right? When things scare us. And some of us, we just run, run and leave the kid over. I don't know. I don't know moms who would actually do that. But again, get familiar with how we respond. But this particular incident with this guy, I saw he was not stopping, and I know he was like, I was just trying to ask if you have any money. I was like, man, I don't even carry cash. Just back off, right? And I slipped into my car. I'm always ready with my keys, guys. You have to be ready. You got fingers, right? You be ready to just defend yourself if someone keeps coming. And some of the best advice I got was from a dear friend of mine in self-defense. Like, you have to use your weaknesses, right, to their advantage. Because if they're not, most people who get attacked, the person who's attacking is not really expecting you to fight back. They're attacking because you look like you won't do anything, right? They've probably been watching you. They're opportunists. Most of them are opportunists, right? And when I say use your weakness, it's like you're holding your purse and something's only in your purse. You got to be like, oh, no, no, no. And you got to come out with it, right? Um, if you got to curl into a ball until you could think clearly, curl into a ball and protect yourself. Um, you have to really, and oh my gosh, do not let anyone take you anywhere. Scream, yell, bite, kick. I mean, do not, because once you go out of sight, they have the opportunity to do whatever they want with you.
But so just to interject for a second here, when you scream, kick, etc., do not scream out help. Scream out fire. People want to come see the fire. right?
That's a good one.
Seriously, if you scream out help, people are going to go the other way, unfortunately, because they don't want to get involved. They don't want to get hurt, whatever the case is. It's that whole fight or flight that's innate in
Mm,
us. And most people will choose flight.
mm,
However, if you scream out fire, that's what I tell my kids all the time. If you're
I
in
love
trouble,
that.
scream out fire. People like to come and see the fire, it's entertaining. So
Mm,
that's how you will draw crowds. Once there's a crowd, your assailant is going to leave, right? And nobody,
yeah.
it just happens that way. And I wanted to interject about awareness as well when you're done,
Oh,
because
you can interject right now. This is the cafe. We want everyone's input and feedback as much as possible because this is how we see our blind spots, right? Like we have like different minds and different views. But yeah, let's hear
okay,
it.
moms and social media.
Mm,
I see too many people, and I did it myself, posting identifying pictures of their children. And what I mean by that is you post them in their school uniform.
mm,
Now, whoever's looking at that picture knows where they go to school. They know your name. They know that that person, that kid is your son or your daughter, right? What are the chances of them going and kidnapping them is small, but it's there. The more identifying information you put out there, the easier it is for people to be able to go and kidnap your kids, right?
mm,
If they know what school they go to, they know their name, they know your name. How easy is it for them to just go to that school and see the kid on the playground and be like, hey, your mom so and so told me to come see you, right? Like,
mhm,
now they have all this information. In kids, it's been proven up to the age of 8 have no idea what stranger danger is. They can regurgitate it to you. They can tell you exactly what you told them, but they do not understand the concept of that danger. No matter what you tell them, they will still go with that stranger,
mm.
right? Because it doesn't click for them until at least the age of 8. So,
Wow.
yeah, be very careful, even if it's only private. People can hack into your social media accounts very easily. It's not as secure as even your own computer. So, just be very careful what you post up there, and what identifying information you have on there as well, so that they can't easily find you and your kids.
Well, I had to ask family to respect my wishes as well. I don't want my kids on social media. I mean, someone's like, "Oh my gosh, Glow, you know how many views you will get?" And I tell people if you've already done it, like you can try to delete them as much as possible because really all it takes for someone to clone your account and just start asking your friends information. They use these images there's a black market where they can profile kids and shop for kids. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation because again, if you check out my book on Amazon, or just look up a few things about me, I prior to having kids, I was deep involved with um, anti-human trafficking and volunteering with at-risk young adults. And again, once these kids go out of sight, I mean, I don't care what age you are, do not try not to get out of sight with anyone that you don't know. From a mom's perspective and just women in general, or I mean, nowadays it's more prevalent, I would say, with women, and it happens to everyone. It can happen to everyone, but even certain work environments, right? You have to be careful of not putting yourself in situations, especially when there's other elements involved, like you're in a party and whatnot. I try to keep this conversation very relevant to mommy situations, but if someone's listening who's not a mom, right? Um, there's so much more access to a lot of things because we live in this high pace, high fast world. And I would say since the pandemic, for me, from my observation, right, I feel like everyone's being pushed to certain limage. It's not even a word. We're pushed to certain levels of stress because we have to learn more faster. We have to reinvent ourselves. We have to learn technology faster. If we weren't a techie person, now we have to like probably pay someone to help us implement some of these technologies. Like we're being forced to do more than what we were doing before the pandemic, I feel. Um, and from a security standpoint, to me it all starts with awareness and being intentional about our behaviors and activities, especially when it comes to our kids. I mean, even taking them to the playground, you'd think like kids are safe at the playground, but I've seen creepy vehicles and stuff at playgrounds. I've seen a lot of strange things. And guys, guess what? Trust your gut. Because if your gut is telling you, like, why is this big dog on a van parked next to a playground? Like, what is a van doing in a playground? If you don't see like I don't know, ABCs and daycare stuff, and you could see inside the windows and stuff like that, why is a big van sitting next to a playground? If it don't feel right, it don't look right, it's probably not right. And as moms, let me tell you, I know we feel invincible, and I've read incredible stories where moms probably lift up cars and stuff to save their kids. But if you have three or four kids, maybe even two, right? And someone's watching you, that's a vulnerable point because they know you're probably going to try to protect the kid, right? So you have to be mindful and really think things through as you're doing stuff. And hopefully this conversation just gets you thinking about like what if, not in paranoia, but just if you're somewhere and something comes back to you, be like, let me just look around. Let me just hold my key a different way, right? If it don't look right, don't feel right, it's probably not right. And the best thing is, if you took precaution and made it home safe, hey, you did well. Because we don't want to find out. We don't want to say, well, you know what, I don't know. We don't want to find out the wrong way. We can learn from others' mistakes. And just even when I get into my car, right, it's an awkward situation because I don't have a typical family car. I'm especially mindful of these scenarios once I get in. So if you guys have anything else to share about personal safety as a mom, or a situation where you had to like um I don't know, escape, but we want to share ideas on how to do that for moms who may be listening. um that would be helpful. But I love yell fire, didn't think about that one. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. And like you keep saying, it's awareness,
Yes.
right? The biggest thing is awareness. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, you're definitely a target,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like they can smell fear just like dogs,
Yeah, they're opportunists,
right?
totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the more confident, the more aware you are, you've already won more than half the battle, because the likelihood of any assailants coming after you when you're aware and you're confident is very small, right?
Well, let me throw this one at you guys. And you can find this one on YouTube, this video. So the lady's walking in the park. I think it's in New York. And this guy just comes up to her and he says, "Give me my baby." So they're like in a tug of war for this baby in a stroller now, right? Now, situation, if you're just observing this, who do you believe? Do you believe the guy who's pulling at the woman with the baby? Because he's yelling out, "She's got my baby," and blah blah blah, and the poor woman, she's screaming, trying to pull the baby. "No, this is my baby." So because when we think about people kidnap kids too, I say this because a lot of times we think, oh, it's some guy. Well,
Yeah.
there's men, there's women, you really don't know what they look like, right? There's kids that work as little, they help people target kids, right?
Yes.
So if you're in this scenario and you see this tug of war going on, and of course, as more and more people start to gather, it's like, wait a minute, who do I believe? Thank God there was some jujitsu guy watching, and he had this guy in like a lock for like 20 minutes waiting for the cops to come, because finally he said he didn't know what to do, because again it looked like maybe the woman may have took the baby by the time he started watching, right? And the people who were gathering, like some people were trying to like pull with the woman. No one was really pulling with the guy, but it was just an interesting scenario. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what would I have done if I was walking my baby and someone just like grab grab it and said, "Give me my baby," right? Um, what do you guys think about that scenario? Because again, all these are just this is just food for thought to get you thinking, right? Because us busy moms, we probably got our phone, we probably like at a Starbucks or something with our coffee and our baby's napping, right? We like to get a lot of stuff done while the baby's napping, right? But I've
But
just seen crazy things. Go
Whose
ahead.
baby was it? Was it the guys or was it the woman's?
It turned out being the woman's baby, but I mean, if the jujitsu guy didn't, he put him in like in a lock, and it got to the point where he got tired. I think he had him in like a lock for like they were on the ground, and he was holding like he just clamped onto this guy, and he was there I think for about 20 minutes locked onto this guy after he figured out it was the guy was trying to like take the baby.
that's see, those are situations where you get your cell phone out and you call 911 and say there's an altercation.
Well, they
And
did. No, they did. That's how
yeah,
long it took for the cops to come. They did. But I'm just saying again, I would have never think someone would be so brazen to do that in broad daylight. But again,
mm,
if a mom's listening to this too, like we like to use every quiet opportunity to, oh, baby's napping. We got to get a lot of stuff done. We go to Starbucks or wherever we go to have that quiet time in the park. I used to love parks when my kids were little, right? But again, of course I went with the mindset of, okay, is any car around me? Like try to really think about who's watching me, right? Um,
and take some self-defense classes, right? You can find things online for
mhm,
cheap, for free. Do at least have a few moves, a few things that are in your back pocket just
mhm,
in case. Not
mhm,
only is that going to help you in case something happens, but it will build your confidence right off the bat, which again is going to allow you to not be the target, right? Because, like Glow, you've been saying, they target people who are going to be easy targets, who
mhm,
they think are not paying attention, are weak, are not going to fight back, right? So the more you're multitasking, the
mhm,
less attention you're paying to what's going on around you. The more your head is down and you're not paying attention, the less confident you look, right?
mhm,
The more you're only doing one thing at a time and you're aware and your shoulders are back, your head is high, you look like you're confident, the less likely anybody's going to come bother you because they don't want the fight. They don't,
mhm.
they want the easy targets.
Right. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to get caught.
They're
That's,
looking
yeah.
for the people that's distracted. And a lot of times we're always distracted with our phone in our hand, even though we're pushing, might be pushing a stroller, we're always scrolling. So they're looking for people that are distracted. And we have to be hyper vigilant everywhere we go, even in the church. Did you guys
Mhm.
hear what happened yesterday?
No.
Oh,
Joel Osteen Church? A
wow.
woman of all, usually it's men that do these things, but it was a woman this time, a woman that walked in with a child. She had on some sort of trench coat or something like that with rifles and started shooting.
Wow.
There was some off-duty police officers there. I don't know if they were security guards or not, but she was shot and she was killed. The child was also shot. Not sure, they didn't give a lot of context to the story, but that was the end result. But it's like everywhere you go, you have to be hyper vigilant. You cannot be on your phone, be distracted, have a child with you, because you never know. Even in the church, this is
A
happening.
child
We have to be
involved.
careful everywhere we go.
And they
That's so
use kids as decoy. Our time is coming short on here too. But another thing that a lot of folks not aware of, when you see them, the mom and the kid on the side of the street and they're begging, sometimes they're working. And they're not working
Mhm.
for themselves. It's like a pimp, right? Someone's watching them, they're collecting money, or the mom comes to you with a story, or the couple at the gas station and they got a bunch of kids in the car. Oh, we just lost our home. And I'm not saying this, guys, I'm not saying this to make us cold to these people. I'm just saying there's safety in numbers, right? If you feel like you want to help someone, just make sure the people around you, like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go help this person right now, I'm gonna give them something, right? Awareness and safety in numbers. Because even one scenario, we were driving from a family member's home, and there was a car parked on the side of what looked like a party. The ladies in the street flagging down for help, and a male is sitting in the car, right? And they were flagging she's flagging down my husband's car, and I looked at it, I'm like, dude, they're at a it's like 11 o'clock at night, they're at a party. If you're at a party, aren't you going to go back inside and say, hey guys, I need a jump or something? I told him, floor it. Like, not tonight, right? And again, not to sound cold, it just, the situation did not make sense, right? And in a case with this poor incident in church, right? Someone comes in with a trench coat, the way people dress, that's another thing too. Like the character doesn't fit the scene,
There's
and
something.
again,
Yep.
a setting like that, everybody's guard is down, you know, uh,
Mhm.
we definitely need to have a part two to this, because there's so much on safety and awareness. That's why it's a whole separate channel for me. That's why I said if people saw me with um, weapons running around talking about safety, don't be surprised, because it's a passion of mine, especially when I did work with the young adults at risk. I mean, the conversations they were having was like next level. I was like, I've never even had those conversations with my parents, right? But their world is totally different from ours. And a lot of them were young teenage moms too. So it was really like heartbreaking, but I wanted to feel like I can help, because I have younger siblings, right? And just to recap on all of what we shared today, Tanya, good input there. Yell fire, because everybody wants to see the fire. Um, Beverly, I like your story too. Just being aware of how people look, right? If the character doesn't fit the scene, we're at the beach and you're coming in your trench coat and your snow boots. mm, Suspect.
So, and yeah, just another, like, the self-defense classes, you can find them free all over the place. You can find them in your local areas for free. You can find them online for free, right? So there's a lot of free resources.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
practice when you do them as well, because again, you have to build that muscle, right? So if you do
yeah,
take a class, or even if you have a weapon, you need to practice using these things when you get in and out of your car at the gas station. Practice looking around, practice and implementing these things. That way it becomes second nature for your gut to just like prompt you, like, wait a minute, something don't look right, because always going to be on your game, especially if you have the Bluetooth, right? I know a lot of folks, we say when we get to the car, let me just check, because we don't want to text and drive, right? Nobody wants to be on their phone and drive, right? So we do it when we get to the car, right? Are your doors locked? Are your windows up? Is the car running? If I must check before I drive, my car is running and in gear, and I'm ready to go, right? Because
Especially.
Go ahead.
Especially at gas stations. There's always a run, a grab and run. You have to
Yeah.
be vigilant, especially a woman by herself. Don't leave your pocketbook on the seat.
And
People
lock
know
your
this, but they
door when
do
you
it
come
all the
to your
time.
desk.
And what
Mhm.
happens? Somebody is always watching and they're grabbing and running. I've
I have
known quite a few
two
people
people.
who it happened to, and they never expected it and they knew better, but they did it
Mhm.
anyway because they figure, okay, I'm going to be right next to the car, but it happens. So yeah, no leaving of the pocketbooks on the front seat. Make sure you lock the car when you come out.
And with that, if someone grabs and snatches your pocketbook and runs away, leave it. Call the police. Whatever is in there is not worth your life,
How
right?
many videos do you see people, women hanging on to the person's car as they're driving away?
Yeah, no, right? Whatever is in there is not worth your life. So just run the other way. Go take your babies, make yourself safe, make your babies
Yeah.
safe, make your kids safe. Because material things can always be replaced.
Yes. Yes. Well, we are coming up to our end of our session. This was, again, this is a hot one for me, so I could go on and on. We definitely have a part two, but I think we definitely need one for cybersecurity on its own, how to protect your business, and even things like your YouTube channel, right? And your social media platforms, they can be cloned. Well, not so much the YouTube, but your social media profile could be cloned. And sometimes we use our social media to access some very important accounts we create with different things, right? So this is definitely another conversation we could have. I do have a mom in our group that is an expert in these the digital world, right? So we'll try to get her on. But I hope some of these stories helped a mom at least think through as you're sitting in your car, handling your kids, be mindful that someone's potentially watching you, not fearful, right? Because we're not trying to induce fear. We're trying to help you become more aware of situations. And the best way to learn is from other people's mistakes. Trust us. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Because I got stories. I got attacked a couple times in my life, and it was not fun. I'm here today, so it says I survived, but you don't want to ever get into a grappling match with someone, man. You don't want to fight. You don't have to do that. So, with that being said, thank you all for joining us live here, Tanya, Beverly. We have a few more minutes to the top of the hour. If you guys can each introduce yourself quickly, your business, how you help the community, and how to get in touch. If you guys could do a little 60-second intro real quick. So I'll go at once. Okay, Tanya, you go first.
Tanya Bartolini, recovering attorney turned business coach and consultant, founder of Business and Beyond, your guide to greatness. And I help people create real, sustainable, thriving businesses instead of glorified jobs.
Love it. How do we get in touch with you, Tanya? The best way.
Business and Beyond LLC.com.
Okay.
Or you could just Google Tanya Bartolini and I'm all over the place.
All right. All right. Beverly?
Beverly Legister, RN by career, transition into holistic health and life coach. I help women lose weight naturally without pills or counting calories. And I have a 90-day program that I hold them accountable for those 90 days using intermittent fasting to help them lose weight naturally. And they continue to lose weight and have a more healthy lifestyle as they go on.
Nice.
Very nice. And Chandel, if you can speak. Uh, Maybe not, but it's okay. Thank you all for joining us. And all of us can be found on the Mompreneur Source directory. And if you guys found this information helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, it helps us. It's a free community for moms in business. And if you just want to support us, there's room for you there as well. So that's it for today. Thank you all for joining us.